Kyle here from All Media Reviews. Gonna do sort of a video blog sorts. I'm having my dessert. It's kind of not too late, a little after 10 o'clock on Friday night. What is it, August 15th? Have my Waterloo Ginger Twist. This is the second to last can I think we have left. They're not making these anymore, I don't think. Joyce, this was like her go-to over the last 2 years when they first came out with it. It was the summer of 23. And then they stopped making it sometime last fall, and then we just like saved some. Um, and then I have, well, this is Cocoa Krispies cereal. I can't eat milk because I'm like lactose, but this was actually something she was eating. This and Honey Smacks and like Cheerios and a couple others. She didn't like Honey Nut Cheerios, but toward the end of her time, one of the things she could eat was cereal. She had this for dinner. I want to say she had this for dinner probably about 10, 8, 9, 10 times, even before everything with the cancer came up. But um, that's my dessert tonight. I was debating between making hot chocolate, but it's not that cold, although it gets kind of chilly at night sometimes. But or having like a grape soda, I could have part of one, but kind of saving that. Anyway, so I could just do a couple things here. Maybe first just talk about I mean, I could do the whole how I'm doing thing, which I've written in the blog, which has maybe been excessive to some degree. But um for like stuff like I talk about on this YouTube channel and the blog, um music unfortunately has been, I mean, they say with grief there's like things that you think of the person you lose, in this case my significant other, my wife. And so it could be something that it can be good and bad. It can be good, great because you remember them by that, but the experience is not easy. So when I'm gonna do the vinyl, I'm gonna do her vinyl. It's just a matter of getting that room still in shape, and I haven't been able to do that. It could be several weeks, but I was concluding it'd probably take me about, if I could do maybe 3 videos a week on average. She has like 1,000 records. There's like 1,000 records, and then there's also like the singles and stuff. But it could take 4 to 5. I don't know. It'd probably be similar, but maybe slightly longer. Depends on how well it goes, and I got to first organize them. But more, I'm getting at stuff like the music that she was into, that she loved, that I talked about in that history video. And I forgot a lot of artists in that video, talking about her music taste rather. Stuff like Amy Mann, she was a fan of, and like The Weeknd and some others. But like Kimbra, for example, is one that I was thinking I wrote in the blog. It's like I don't know how I'm gonna be able to listen to Cameo Lover without just breaking out. That's I would get tears in that with that hearing that song, even years ago, just because it was nostalgia for a couple things. It was nostalgia from that year, but more specific, 2011, more specifically for it was a song, and her and I kind of, not fully but close, somewhat close to fully bonded with in a way, and it was also soon around the time that we met. And then there's just like the words, just thinking about it, open up your heart, that kind of thing. Um, there's a lot. I'm sorry. You should just let go like this. 80s pop. Casey Kasem every Sunday. Sorry. And then even music I love. A lot of it's sad music, so it's a block. It's like, okay, so there's more to this, but maybe I'll just jump into the next part of this. I went to go see Bad Guys 2 with her friend Sarah on Saturday.
Joyce and I had because she loved animated movies. Um, we had seen the first Bad Guys and liked it. So she used to see animated movies with Sarah too. A lot of Disney movies. Sometimes she saw like Guardians of the Galaxy, the original one. I hadn't seen that with her as well, which normally I would probably be seeing that in front of her anyway. We went to go Bad Guys 2, and just the quick review of that is it was pretty good. I think maybe in some ways better than the first one. Um, and for like sort of maybe expecting it. They had like a Bad Guys with what's it? It's can't remember the guy, the lead guy from Bad Guys. Sam Rockwell, he plays the wolf, but they did a Bad Guys like Christmas special, we little like short kind of thing we did watch. Joyce and I watched. I think it was on Netflix. I want to hold on a second. Apologies. I didn't think I would necessarily break down because it's not like, but so then I did see and I didn't get like maybe as emotional as this during the movie. But then that was last Saturday, and then on Sunday, because the Jeff Buckley documentary, which I think I mentioned maybe one or two times previously, um, it's like Never Over Jeff, something like that. I forget the name of it exactly. I'll put it in the description maybe. I wanted to go see, and I'd been planning. I knew it was going to be like the weekend of August 8th or whatever. I was actually thinking maybe Joyce and I would go to, even though Joyce never really cared that much for Jeff Buckley. However, as much as she liked like Elliott Smith, and a few other singer songwriters, Rufus Wainwright. In fact, I don't think I even mentioned Rufus Wainwright. I don't remember on the music taste, but that was probably only covering like 75-80% of her taste at best. Um, the she did like the one song "Everybody Here Wants Her" because I watched another one of the documentaries a few years ago. I can't remember. I just played the song for it because like, well, Jeff Buckley has soul, doesn't have soul, has soul in that song. But it was I, I'm a Jeff Buckley fan. It's well documented on this channel. I have several like videos where I talked about him. I don't know if I did too many. I did a couple maybe featured Jeff Buckley videos over the years. Whatever I've done, 700 something, whatever it is. Um, and I think it was pretty good, but they didn't cover some stuff that I was a little surprised. One thing I know that they talked about Brad Pitt back when I was at Sundance last January or whatever it was, that Brad Pitt was involved with it, that he was going to be interviewed maybe because going back 20 some odd years with Mary Gebert, Jeff's mother and the keeper um, of his estate, that Brad Pitt would be in it. And the only thing he was listed that I saw was that he was a producer. So whatever that was cut, I don't know. Not that I was like needing to have Brad Pitt on the in the documentary, but so but they didn't show anything with the commitments. They didn't show anything because he played with the commitments live. I want to say late '80s, something like that. They didn't do a lot of his with the '80s stuff. They showed him talking about Al Di Meola and stuff like that a little bit, but nothing about Rush or Yes and some of the other influences he had. But and they didn't do a ton on the demos, which I think that's a sort of my own personal bias. They didn't talk about obviously Jimmy Necco wasn't mentioned, maybe for the better in some ways. That whole stereotype Jimmy Necco gets, but he did know Jeff. He was like a guitar tech of his briefly. Um, they didn't talk about. They showed Amy Mann of all people and some other people like his relationship with some of these different women. They didn't talk about Elizabeth Fraser, I don't believe, and they didn't talk about Gary Lucas either. So it was kind of, she supposedly spent like the director, I forget her name now, over 10 years making it or something. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it was good. The story that when he was at Glastonbury, I believe, and Page and Plant were playing, and he was on the fence. If that's fully true, I don't think I'd heard that. He was like way up on the fence, and he fell down into the crowd or something. Um, but I mean, if you haven't seen, if you're just a fringe Jeff Buckley fan, it's you're not that familiar with his story. It's worth seeing. They don't focus that much on the details of how he died. Some a little bit, but they didn't like. I've read obviously David Brown's book and some of the other accounts, and even some of the other documentaries go way more into detail. And I don't know if they gave slight details, but they didn't really tell the whole story. So I mean, they weren't. Her interest wasn't on the focus on how he died. I mean, it gave some information, but they did play his last voicemail to his mom and stuff like that. So, but I'll say in relation to what I'm dealing with, I saw it last Sunday in Uptown. It was the only theater at Lagoon. There's the only theater in the metro that had it. Surprisingly, like Duluth had it and stuff. I thought it was going to be at like AMC and some other theaters. It's going to be on HBO Max this fall supposedly, but I think it's Never Over Jeff Buckley. I think that's the name of it. But um, like Last Goodbye lyrics sort of were hitting me, and like when I went to my nephew's play a little over a week ago for Clue, and then because my nephew did a production, his high school, not high school, but like high school age kids did a production of Clue. I'm still thinking about her, probably thinking a little bit about her during Bad Guys 2 and everything, and trying to like do this stuff without thinking about her is just it's almost impossible. Like Last Goodbye, the lyrics are just oh my god. This would happen to you. Did you think this could happen to you? Just it's I guess it's therapy, and it's like and they keep on people keep on telling me, and I'm going through multiple therapies and talking to as many people as I can, many people like friends, family, people that have dealt with loss. It's like one day at a time, and this is the early stages, even though time seems to be moving at a snail's pace. I did go back to work this week. I feel like I did some work, but I didn't do as much work as I would have liked because I was still kind of being preoccupied at points. But yeah, the music thing and some of this stuff, my focus, my potential like ability to get past it, to listen to like my 19 or whatever 2005 to 2025 playlist that I made over 400 songs. Besides Cameo Lover, there's some tunes. I mean, part of it, some of those songs are really sad and they're melancholy, and I love that kind of music. But to not think about her, even if I don't have an association with her, like Under the Influence of Giants, Mama's Room. Even though I knew that song way before I knew her, it got kind of plastered in my brain about her, about Joyce. I don't know. I hope that an aunt of mine who lost her husband in 1998 told me a few weeks ago that she spent 7 years without listening to music. I mean, I was listening to, the Vinyl King on KOWZ earlier. I'll turn on music occasionally, but when I was driving to that play, the Clue song, I put on the Monkees. I was trying to think of her, and that we have the live album that they put out in the late 2010s, when Peter was still alive, though. He was with them, Peter Tork. Pleasant Valley Sunday was on when I was driving to I've been listening to it for a few days. And has got the line, Mr. Green, he's so serene. He has a TV in every room. Well, my nephew played Mr. Green in the play, Clue. I mean, it's pure coincidence, likely, but I don't know. My belief in, about energy, metaphysics and the afterlife and reincarnation, how this happened, has definitely changed. This whole experience has changed everything. In some ways, I don't want it to, and I don't want to change things. Although my place here, that this townhouse doesn't resemble all that much in a lot of ways the way it did even a month and a half ago. For various reasons, it's good in that sense. It's probably set up now to be able to like entertain it if people come over, and but the whole thing about trying to hold on to things with Joyce, getting photos, and I want to put photos up, and it just like she feels like she's still here. Even this Squishmallow has sort of been one of my lifelines. Because if you live with someone, we lived together. Well, technically, we didn't have the same residence until 2017. But because I had my apartment until then. But you could say that we pretty much were living together for most of our relationship. Not entirely. The first couple of years, it was all off and on. Like, I just talked to her some days and I'd be over there, but and her mom's place, and then she'd be over at actually the early days, the early first couple of years, she was spending more time at my place actually, but then her mom was having some physical issues, just doing things, and then her dog Alfie got more sick, and she kind of just concluded I got to spend more time at home, and then Kyle will have to spend more time with me at home. So I was kind of using my apartment as a storage space in some ways. Although that was when I started YouTube. So um, but so we lived together. We were living together, for at least whatever that is, over 8 years, with the same residence, and then really living together for almost 14. I guess you could say maybe like a dozen years at least, but maybe more than that. And so, yeah, before that, I was just a single bachelor that dated some women, but I never had that sort of regular companionship and to eat dinner and like making dinner. I made dinner tonight and last night. I made corn for the first time, corn on the cob. Joyce really liked. Been buying it from locally from Lund's here. And I mean, sweet corn. Unfortunately, like I don't know how many years ago I concluded it was a problem for digestive reasons, but I've been able to eat it. I had like little amounts because she always wanted it. Like when we'd have like hot dogs or bratwurst, or I want to say even like sloppy joes maybe, or there was maybe not sloppy joes. There's another meal that she would make that she always wanted corn. Usually in the summertime. So, but I used to like it growing up, but I mean it's got its fiber, but it also has sugar. But I made that, and then I made this pasta, and then this steak thing I got from Lund's, which is just something you put on the pan. But the sodium was probably higher than I'd like. I didn't eat it all, thankfully, but yeah, that's the other thing about when my health, my own personal health in this situation. Um, Carrie Fisher and Debbie Reynolds. Debbie Reynolds passes away a week after Carrie Fisher from a broken heart. I don't know what the risks are, but as it turns out, someone I work with passed away about a week, a little less than a week after Joyce, and her husband had passed away just in February. So I don't know what happened exactly, but the thought crosses my mind. I mean, hopefully I have a long time to still be around and do this stuff, but 2019 I got diabetes, and then I had a blood clot in my leg, and getting colonoscopies every 5 years anyways. But yeah, for now it's just like I want to do videos on stuff. I have a few different copies of vinyl and stuff like that, and CDs to show, and I mean my focus, hopefully when the time comes when I can get that record room more usable, is to just first of all I need to alphabetize. I feel like I'm rehashing one of the last few videos. I need to alphabetize all her records in full. They're just alphabetized by crate, not and then to focus on trying to do her record collection A to Z, and then her friend Michael's going to get most of them. The other thing is, and all that other stuff up there, the monkey stuff, which we might actually end up giving some of it to the History Center, depending if they have a use for it. There could be like a 1960s or maybe 80s exhibit they could do at the History Center in St. Paul there, and they could use some of her monkey stuff. I think there's people at the History Center that would love to somehow still have Joyce be involved with the work there, and that would be sort of an indirect way. I'm sort of befriending and trying to talk to them and staying in touch with them, and that's kind of this whole process. Is like Joyce knew all these different people through different jobs, and the monkeys community included, in college and stuff like that. And I'm trying to not go overboard, but just reach out to as many. And some of them might not have known what happened to her, but just sort of establish some kind of maybe more longer term rapport and connection, rather than just she passed away and sorry to hear about that, and I don't know when I'll see you again. Because if you can sort of keep in touch with people, it makes you feel like they're still around in some ways. We played trivia the other night. Didn't do too well, unfortunately, at Green Mill. But that was a tradition of Joyce and myself and a few of her friends from the History Center, one that used to work at the History Center. So we might try doing that more regularly. But We did win Social Distortion, the music trivia back in 2018. That group, we won 4 times and we finished like second a few times. It was at Pizza Luce. So we had a run. That was for music. And we had this theory that we all had different backgrounds. Myself being the sort of heavy rock and hard rock and metal, and obviously prog or whatever classic rock person. The others, like Joyce, of course, was pop and 80s pop, and some people are like Michael was more modern pop and some 80s. So we had the diversity of tastes as opposed to people that do a team and they all have the same taste. Um, but I haven't been doing as well. And our friend Melinda now does the calling, but anyway. So yeah, that's been kind of it. I mean, a lot of stuff I'm still trying to do. I joined the JCC, and I'm gonna start doing some work there. Maybe end up meeting some people. I'm getting in touch with one of my neighbors, which is kind of nice. Stuff we're dealing with our homeowners association and everything. But just trying to talk to other people. That's kind of the thing, is when this kind of things, people go into isolation and they don't want to talk to anyone. And this is bizarre for me, and I'm facing sort of this situation to try to figure it out. Um, Barring, like, obviously not being with Joyce and, mourning and trying to grieve and cope with her not being here. We did all this stuff. I'm trying to do stuff with other people to sort of compensate, like the movie with Sarah um, and everything. But talk to anyone. I would say even the suddenness of it was one big part of that. Didn't see this coming at all, really. Because she really was like 5 6 weeks. It was really around her birthday or a little bit after that in May, and then really the June 13th weekend. Um, and then it just happened so quickly. But it was in her for over a year supposedly, but we didn't have any information. She had no symptoms we could tell really. I mean, I'm trying to jog my memory to see like think of stuff, but um, there's that part of it, and then how obviously how old she was. She's someone obviously I knew for 14 years, so it wasn't like it was a new relationship exactly, but um, how old she was is also a little bit of an exception. Although a lot of people are getting this whole statistic about 40 to 60-year-old women of color getting GI cancers, which we don't know where it originated, but they believe it. The doctors believe it was somewhere in their GI tract, and that's a statistic that's gone up the last decade. It'd be nice to sort of get to know more people that either might have run into that themselves or to prevent that, more importantly, and how to treat that. Um, you know, that's part of it. That's part of why this is such an adjustment, a life adjustment for me as well. Um, you know, what happens? I don't know. I would probably benefit from companionship at some point, whether that be romantic or platonic or whatever. But it's kind of I'm really conflicted in some ways in that sense because I think of her and everything will be about Joyce. In fact, I'm gonna get her wedding rings. They didn't go down with her as I'd said originally. The record did. The other stuff I showed on that video, but the wedding rings I'm gonna try to get and wear as a necklace or a wristband, maybe. Probably on special occasions. Of course, I got mine still here, but um, I miss all this stuff that we did together and having her here, even like beyond food, but food. She always said she always wanted someone to cook for her, and of course I wasn't really fulfilling that particular category as well as maybe she wanted, but I I will still obviously latch onto and think of her and going through the grieving process, but I'm also kind of struggling with just being by myself so much. I'm calling people at night versus like my therapy services or just friends, close friends of hers, people I know that can talk, that some of them are going through the same thing, some grieving. Um, but if I had someone here, and I'm not expecting like my aunts who come here and helped out, they're not going to sleep here. Certain friends that have their own places necessarily, but I don't know. It's one of those things where the thing is, well, I should sleep somewhere else, which I guess I wouldn't be opposed to, even like going into the office potentially. Which if I did that, um, would be an adjustment because I'd have to obviously leave earlier, anticipate lunch, and driving through traffic. And then at work itself, I don't have a desk, so I'd have to get this hotel station and stuff. But I have to think about that's there are questions that I have to consider. A lot of questions. It's a long list. I know that people are saying you got to kind of take it slow and give yourself grace. And the therapist, I kind of feel like the therapist really helped me out, but um, I don't know if it's a thing where you get the therapy and then you're gone, you're done for a week or two, and that it's almost like I need more therapy, but I don't want to overdo it. Also, the therapist that I'm talking to with the hospice care has been really good though, so I'm really happy that it's 13 months. So happy I'll be talking to her, but she's not necessarily the only therapist I'm going to talk to. But I don't know, going for walks and just it's one of the things I have to like sort of distract myself or get my mind on other things. Or when they're thinking about Joyce, they're not so difficult and it's almost like a celebration. We're gonna do a celebration of life party at some point. We're gonna go to the state fair. I'm trying to set that up. Have the French fries that she loved and the bunnies and the seed art and the dessert at the Blue Barn and some other stuff. But and then an anniversary dinner. That whole thing that they talk about with grief, where you're reaching those firsts of everything the first time you go to certain stores or see that, or the first time even this concerts like Stephen Wilson I'm supposed to see next month. Not that I think of Joyce with Stephen Wilson, but it's another concert. I saw Jimmy Necco and it had more to do with the weather, but it wasn't exactly easy. But Stephen Wilson and then the George Michael and Prince thing, that those may be a bit of a struggle. That's at least a few months out. I'll be at least more accustomed to the way things have become to some extent. That's in like mid to late to October and early November. Her friend Shane, I hopefully we can plan for him to come in if this fall, if not this fall, maybe next spring. Maybe go to Paisley Park, go to the candy store in Jordan if they're open, depending if it would have to be later in the spring, but it may be this fall. I don't know. And there's a monkeys issue of Goldmine, a special issue that he just posted today, and I'm gonna maybe try to go to um, Barnes and Noble to see if they have it. I mean, it'd be kind of weird because well, this is going 27 minutes, so I'll have to wrap this up soon. Um, Maybe I'll show it if I get it. I don't know if hopefully they have it at Barnes and Noble because Joyce has like all this monkey stuff, these letters. Like I could just show a couple of them right now, but that I found at her mom's place. Beyond all the stuff we have here, she has these like I'll like give the address out. I guess it's like these are old addresses, but monkeys whatever monkeys business fanzine and photo club. You know, it was like all this stuff. These are like 90s. But then I also found in the drawer, well, I found this too, like a rock and roll game. She used to always like do the trivias. A monkeys like cards box, probably cards too somewhere. But there were like she had these journals that her mom threw out or whatever. But her mom was saying they weren't legible. But I found some stuff, including like a receipt from Tidal Wave when she bought the Tidal Wave store. She bought some Monkey CDs, I think. But like some journal stuff talking about from like between 92 and 98. So maybe something to share on the Karen Bridge at some point. But yeah, I mean, she has so much stuff that this is going to be so long extended. I mean, the emotional part of a lot of this stuff and finding and figuring out what to do with it. Even like we're getting rid of some of her gum that she loved from Dollar Tree. I kept a little bit of it, and like the cereal. I mean, this isn't going to be good forever, but some stuff you just have to get rid of. Some stuff I don't want to get rid of. Some stuff I want to give to the right people. But she has a lot of stuff. It's like a little mini museum here. I mean, I have a lot of crap, but you know, my stuff she pales in comparison. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm trying to do more videos, or I've been writing, or I don't know, trying to find my way back to listening to music and watching YouTube videos, and I've been watching some a little bit here and there. Maybe I'll do some streams. I was thinking that might be the thing to do instead, but I don't know who wants to watch me stream. if my friend Christian sees this, maybe we could end up Frantic Dav doing a live stream at some point. I don't know, maybe when the Steven Wilson concert comes up or something. And I'm gonna go to Mid Animate. And there's all these movies that I haven't seen between um, the Naked Gun movie, Happy Gilmore, whatever. Some of that is the Happy Gilmore thing. Joyce liked Happy Gilmore, but um, and there's one other. And then there's all this stuff coming up between what's called Pluribus, which was going to be originally Caro 33, the Vince Gilligan and um, Ray Seahorn show. About a donut shop or something, but it's more than that. It's like sci-fi-ish. And Stranger Things, of course, Beavis and Butthead. I mean, I'm gonna have to get back to being able to consume some of this media that I love. Sports, of course, the Timberwolves season scheduled and the Viking season's coming up, so I'm gonna have to get back to some level of normalcy. And some of that stuff I did less with her. Um, I did on my own, and some of this I talked about like when I was not with her before I met her. I did more so like television, especially. But like the music, it's almost like I need to find music that I can listen to that has no association with her. It's almost like a spot picking, but that has no association and doesn't sort of drive me to depression or sadness or melancholy, whatever. Because a lot of the music I love, unfortunately, um, has this sort of sad, difficult beauty. But some of it doesn't. But it's and, like she didn't like the band Three. I probably could listen to Three, and it probably I don't know if it affect me much, but I don't know. But yeah, that's probably about this for this extended video blog, and there were some other things I probably am not remembering, but I'll follow up. I don't know. My next video might be if it's not starting your collection, maybe I'll bring the records and CDs that I bought in it's like the last 3-4 months that I never got a show on camera. Going back to say like probably it was in May even. May or because I was not making videos too much in May either. Made like the Brian Wilson RIP video, but anyway, that's about it for now. Thank you for watching and we'll see you next time.